3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is January the 31st, 2022. With today's myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
And happy February to you, Carl.
Thank you. Yes, we did it. We're done.
I'm personally happy to say goodbye to what I consider to be the worst January on record.
I mean, it wasn't a great January. It's definitely not the best January on record.
I don't even know what the best January would entail. January is normally a terrible month.
Actually, this ties in great to something that's happening this weekend, Nick. This weekend is the All Star Game weekend for the NHL in Vegas. I once made what I consider to be a fantastic choice, which was the second weekend of January. We kind of like impulse went on a trip to Vegas for like 3-4 days. Going on a vacation in January, like you think it's too close to Christmas. Like I just had a break. I don't need a second one. But January is such a slog. Highly recommend it.
To Vegas of all places.
Yeah, Vegas. It was great weather. It wasn't too hot. It was like 19 degrees. It was fantastic.
So that's actually what I was going to ask you is what the weather in Vegas is like at this time of year. Because we all know the NHL likes to host the All Star Game in places that players want to go to in February.
Yeah, it was nice. It was not, I went to the pool at the hotel and had it to myself because I was apparently the only Canadian staying at the hotel that weekend. So it was Canadian warm enough, but not American warm enough.
I know exactly what you mean. Exactly.
But so do you see this today? And I'm gonna describe it as described by Greg Wyshynski on ESPN. Do you see these new events that the NHL wants to debut that they can do because they're at Vegas, and why not try something weird and new?
I did not, but it's Vegas, so I expect it will be good.
Yeah, so here we go. There is an event called the Fountain Face-Off. So they're holding it at the fountains at the Bellagio, right? The famous water show that's there. And have you been to Vegas before?
I've never been to Vegas.
Oh, I recommend it.
I know. I very badly want to go. And side note, they're hosting a music festival that is pretty much just my high school playlist.
Is that
in
actually
October?
Happening?
Yeah, it's real.
I thought that. I mean, I saw it, and I saw that they'd like tried to host something similar, and it ended up being a bust. So
it's real. And I know you're thinking, how could they get all of these bands on the same day? And then you think, what else are they doing now?
It's true.
If this was 15 years ago, it wouldn't make sense. Now it's happening.
Well, most of those bands, I looked at that playlist, and I think, do you remember the name of the show that they're doing?
What's it called? I don't remember what the name of the festival is called. I remember some of the bands though. It's
essentially if Warped Tour was a one-day event and they all showed up in Vegas, is essentially what it is.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I don't know how they're going to get all these bands in a single day.
No. I mean, you're not going to be able to see them all, right? There'll be like all these. Anyways.
Anyway, so idea. All that to say, that might be my first trip to Vegas.
Okay. So when you're there, you have to stop at the Bellagio and see the water fountain.
Of course.
And now you have to watch this weekend, because here's what they're going to be having. 8 participants will travel by boat to a rink in the middle of the fountain, and they must successfully shoot pucks as quickly as possible into 5 targets placed in the water, fighting through the spray of the nearby fountains.
How big is this fountain?
It's like probably 500 meters, like it's big. It is a large fountain.
Like so big that you need to take a boat?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm Googling it. I need to look at pictures of this thing.
Okay.
Right now.
So it's large.
Oh, that's a big fountain. Yeah.
It's a big fountain.
It's like a pond.
So that's one. Okay. The Fountain Face-Off. Does that interest you at all? Are you going to?
So hold on. They're going to put ice in the middle of this thing?
No, I think it's targets. So it's like you essentially start on a platform and you have to pass it.
Oh, a platform. Okay.
Saucer pass it through the fountain to these other targets.
Yes, I like it.
Okay. They've got that. Next, they will be participating On the strip on Las Vegas Boulevard, they will be participating in an oversized game of blackjack. There will be a full deck of oversized playing cards on a rack and becomes blackjack. Players will try to build a hand that equals 21 in the least number of shots without going bust by shooting pucks at the cards. The player who wins 2 rounds is crowned Puck Shark in this 5-player contest.
That sounds dumb. I'm not in for this one. What is this, like, supposed to be the target skill?
Essentially, this is target. Yeah, it's this, instead of, targets in the corner of the net, you now have cards to hit.
No, I don't like it. I think it's silly. I don't want to see oversized cards.
I think this could go, and they're not even, they're big. They're probably like head sized, depending on how big your head is. It seems a little bit unnecessary, but also I don't think that we should really be bringing math into the All-Star Game weekend. As much as this isn't high level math, I don't think we should be requiring the players to count to 21.
A lot of hockey players are about to be exposed this weekend.
Right.
Remember when Jonathan Bernier didn't know who Nelson Mandela was?
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be a lot of that happening this weekend.
But on the math side.
Yeah.
What? I hit. No, you didn't. You have 12. It's very different. So there you go. So those are 2 new contests. Can you think of anything else? Like if you had the entirety of Las Vegas Strip, I think of you've got all these hotels, right? You've got a roller coaster there. You've got the fake Eiffel Tower that's there. I would love to see we've done the one where they have to shoot the trick shot from like the middle of the rink or the stands out.
I like that one.
Do it off that fake Eiffel Tower.
Yes, absolutely.
And you have to have a teammate down below catching the pucks in a bucket. That's the other part of it.
I think for fastest skater, they should do rollerblading at happy hour, Mighty Ducks style.
Okay. I'm all right with this. So here's the thing. Nothing should be a normal event this weekend. Everything should just be, especially because you're trying to draw attention to it. The more events you can hold out on the strip in the public, the better.
I like that they're shaking it up like this, actually. I'm interested. Someone who never would have watched a skills competition.
Oh, that's all I would go back and I tape it and you go back and you rewatch it because there's too much filler.
Skip all the commercials and interviews.
Exactly. I'm only there to watch them, but it's a great event. I think I mentioned this on the show before, but I went to the AHL skills competition once. It is a blast to attend in person.
It seems like fun. It just doesn't make a great TV event. No. In my opinion.
No, it's not.
I'd like for them to start including some alumni too. Yeah. I'd like to see an All-Star game that's like recently retired alumni and current NHL All-Stars.
Well, did you see that they tried to convince Zdeno Chara that he should come out and attend? And he was like, nah, I'm good. They wanted him to do hardest shot.
See, this is the problem. No one's going to want to do it.
Right.
Like they can't get current players to do it. Alumni are going to be like, no, I retired for a reason. I don't want to play hockey with you anymore.
But they managed to get guys out for like these, like the outdoor games where they have the alumni games there. So you just got to make it more better.
You know what other skill they should do in Vegas? You know how every team has the one guy who's in charge of the music?
Yes.
Okay. They need to do a karaoke competition with all those guys. And the winner gets to have his own show in Vegas in the off season.
I like this idea. Or even just like an actual DJing competition or just a talent show. How do we not have an NHL talent show?
Yeah, that's a great, I don't know. That should be part of the skills competition.
Yeah. Like instead of having like Green Day or whoever the heck they're going to have show up to play music, it should be the players who are doing the acts.
And normally we have fans vote for the players to go and play. We should have teams vote for some player within their team to go and represent them at the talent show.
Yeah. Who do you think is the most talented? How is this not?
This is happening? Such a good idea. It would make the players want to go.
And I think you could do it. You could do it then, or you could do it at the awards show at the end of the year too.
The awards show should just revolve around that.
It should
like
be
over the course of the evening, you got 31 from each team, 31, 30. How many teams do we have? 32?
32 teams. Yeah.
I feel like every week I get confused by this. So 32 performances is what the show revolves around. And between them, you give the awards out.
I think this is great. Some of those guys, like they could work together, right?
So, yeah. You do some skits.
Ooh, I was thinking mostly musical, but I guess, right. Some juggling.
Yeah. You do juggling, you do magic, you do stand-up comedy.
Now I'm just sad. Now I'm sad that we don't get this because every sports league should have a talent show instead of whatever they're actually doing.
Absolutely.
Especially after the last couple of weeks where we talk about how impersonal the NHL is and how they have an issue with the media. This is how you get away from that. Just have some fun.
Yeah, the media won't want to go.
Exactly. All right. Lots of news. All this to say, lots happened in the NHL this week. And let us start with the inevitable news that really kickstarted the aforementioned media storm and the criticisms that happened between players and the media. Evander Kane officially became a member of the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, I like this. I like our show this week, Carl, because we're going to touch on 3 topics that we talk about way too much. And we're going to cover 2 right now, Evander Kane and the Edmonton Oilers.
It's true. So he started, second shift, first shift with his new team, scored.
Not surprising at all. In my opinion, I expected him to kind of light it up.
Well, I mean, they put him with Connor, right? Rejigged the lines, put him with Connor, sent him out there. They set him up for success.
Were they also not playing the Canadians?
Yeah.
There you go.
The Oilers put up a touchdown on the Canadians that night.
There you go. So, and they signed him the day before?
I think a couple days before. Yeah.
Couple days before. Nice. What was it? $2 million contract for the rest of the year.
Yeah. I mean, enough for him to, I was actually surprised with how much it was. I thought it would be lower than that.
I thought it would be less than $1 million for sure.
Yeah. Essentially like a prorated league minimum.
He's got a good agent. If that guy can go and negotiate $2 million for him for the next, 5 months, 4 months. But he's, making headlines like he always does.
Well, and if he's showing up, not causing issues with the team, like we've heard some people say, I mean, he disagrees with it. He says he didn't cause issues with San Jose. He doesn't know where those rumors came from. Shocking. But I mean, if he can perform well, because he's talented still, no question about that.
Oh yeah, he's a good hockey player. And yeah, like you said, if he can keep the issues out of the locker room, then he'll be an asset to them. Watch them go win the cup now. After all this,
is Evander Kane? Is that what was stopping them?
They didn't have Evander Kane.
I mean, I guess they could use more scoring wingers because Zach Hyman's not enough.
I don't know if you can win a Stanley Cup with that goaltending, though. Like, is there a team in the league that could still win a cup with those 2 behind them?
I think Tampa could.
Maybe. I feel like Vasilevsky's a huge part of that Tampa team, though.
Oh, he is. That's why they continue to win. That's why they win back-to-back Stanley Cups.
You think they could pull it out? Maybe just not as easily?
I think so.
Be a little tougher on their forward group.
I need to pull this up here. I was recently reminded. A friend of mine was rewatching every single Stanley Cup that's happened and from like the last 20 years. I think they're all on YouTube, so he just went and watched them.
Like you watched the full games?
I think so. I don't know where he was pulling these up from. But I was reminded the 2010 Stanley Cup final. Do you have any recollection of who was in that Stanley Cup final?
Chicago.
Yeah.
They won the cup. Philadelphia.
Wow. Look at you.
Because it was that funky overtime goal that Patrick Kane scored.
Yes, you bet. Do you have any guess at who the starting goaltenders were for that Stanley Cup final? Because this is when you say, could this team win a Stanley Cup? This final tells me that you could make it with worse.
God, who was Chicago's goalie? And was Ray Emery a goalie for one of those teams?
Nope. That's a solid guess, though. It was Antti Niemi and his .882 save percentage in the Stanley Cup Finals for Chicago. And Michael Leighton.
Oh, Michael Leighton, yeah.
With a tandem of Brian Boucher combining for an .872 save percentage in the 6 games of that final.
Wow.
So yes, I do believe that the Oilers could make it with this goaltending because there have been worse teams make it to the Stanley Cup final.
The Philadelphia Flyers, right?
Yeah, but like Antti Niemi, is he as bad as Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith? Probably.
Yeah, but I think the team in front of him is better than the current Edmonton Oilers.
They both have Duncan Keith. So
yes, they do. Just at two different extremes of his life.
Yeah. Hey, Duncan Keith is Duncan Keith, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Let's take a look. Do you want to go to the other topic we talk about often on this show first?
Yeah, let's get them all out of the way.
All right. The other topic we talk about far too often on this show, but this continues to be in the news. The Arizona Coyotes still without an arena next year, and they have what I can only assume is the worst idea for an arena ever. They are planning to share an arena, not a bad idea, with Arizona State University. It's great. A 5,000 seat arena for the Arizona Coyotes.
This is why we have to talk about them. They make us do this. We don't want to do this.
Every week we said, do we have to talk about Arizona? Yes, apparently we do.
Of course we have to, because this is embarrassing. Like, you're a National Hockey League franchise. You're going to play in a 5,000 person stadium. It's not even just the 5,000 person stadium. It's everything, the whole situation. They say one thing, they do something else. It's constantly changing. They're always in the news. Now they're going to be playing to 5,000 fans or less. It's embarrassing.
And as much as we make fun of the Coyotes for having low attendance, because they do, right? They have the third lowest attendance in the league this year. It's 11,500 per game. It's more than double the capacity at this new arena. And here's the kicker. So apparently they're going to sign a long-term, like 3 or 4 year, which seems lengthy for Arizona when it comes to arena stability. They have to pay $15 to $20 million in improvements to play in this arena. They're cutting their attendance in half, putting money up to do this. I have no idea how the Coyotes are going to make money doing this.
They're not. They're just going to use up money from all the other teams.
I can't wait for Brad Marchand to tweet at them. This is why escrow is so high.
How could the rest of the league be okay with this?
There's no chance that they are. Right? The other owners have to be furious.
Yeah. And still Gary Bettman's defending them. Like, get them out of there. Put them somewhere where a lot more people are going to care and they can operate more efficiently. This makes no sense.
No. There should be some sort of clause where you have to have a minimum capacity to be a professional sports team for this. And this is not it. There are AHL arenas. There are like junior hockey arenas. Most of them have a higher capacity than that. It's unreal.
Do you think if the Seattle Kraken didn't enter the league this year at $600 million, the league would be entertaining this? Like, this is...
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, there was an influx of revenue and profit this year.
Okay, I see. Right. Because every team got $20 million and
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's just like, if I'm Seattle, is this what my league fees are paying for?
Essentially. Yeah.
It's insane. Insane. Is there another team in professional sports that's acting like this?
Not even close. No. Like literally Canadian hockey teams were protested essentially and were like, you have to cancel our games. We can't play with half capacity. We can't play with third capacity. We can't play with 1,000 people a game. And Arizona's like, nah, we can do it. We will voluntarily play with that few amount of people and we'll pay extra money to make it happen.
Oh my goodness. Just insanity. Like the second Bettman retires, everyone's got to be like, okay, we're moving them, right?
Please. Yeah. But I guess ownership has to have a say in it too, right? Because it's hard to force ownership out of a situation. And I think that's part of the problem here too.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. It's embarrassing.
Very much so. All right. Let's take a look at a suspension that was handed out this week. There was a suspension to Buffalo Sabres goaltender Aaron Dell for a hit, interference on Drake Batherson, who is now out, missing the All Star game. Pretty dirty hit behind the net. He got a 3-game suspension for that, essentially lowering the boom and interfering with Batherson. What are your thoughts on that?
It was old time hockey. Remember the 90s, Carl, when this happened every night?
Remember when you would like have, I think of like Hasek doing it, right? Where he like a guy's coming out and he just skates out to the blue line to play the puck.
And it's different when players are expecting it because that's the game they're playing. That's not the game that we play today, or that we don't play. We watch today.
I'll tell you, I also don't play that game. When I'm going around the net, I am not expecting a goalie to hit me.
Right. So Drake Batherson's going around the net. He's not anticipating being hit, which makes him so much more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then look what's happened. He hurt himself. He's going to be out for a long time.
Yeah. Way more than 3 games.
Way more than 3 games. Although so is Aaron Dell, let's be honest.
Well, I saw he also ended up on waivers.
He did, yes.
They're like, you know what? We're Buffalo. We don't need more bad publicity. Let's be real here.
But what a weird like situation from a goalie perspective. Because he's a backup goalie. Like a suspension to a backup goalie doesn't really seem like that much of a punishment since he only plays every 4 games or something anyways, right?
Well, and that's kind of my thought on it, right? Suspending him for 3 games when, like you said, I mean, this year he's started 9 games. So it's not a loss for them if he has to sit.
No, even less so now that they've put him on waivers.
Right. They clearly don't want anything to do with having him around.
Yeah. So now that he's not on a roster, does his suspension hold? Like if he were to come back up, would he be suspended another 2 games or whatever it would be?
I'd have to check the Sabres schedule and see how many games have happened since that suspension. They played yesterday and Saturday. So he already served 2 of those games. So I guess 1 more. If he got claimed on waivers or if he gets called up, I guess that would be the 3rd.
That would be the suspension. Interesting. Yeah, it was, I mean, it's a deserved suspension, that's for sure. It's just a weird situation because of his status, I guess, in the league.
Yeah, you would think, and it's also tough because you don't like, in my head, I'm like, oh, well, if the suspension's not really a suspension, give him like a monetary fine. But I guess he is missing the money from those games, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he's getting paid for those 3 games. So if and when he comes back to the Sabres, then I guess he'll serve that 3rd.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a weird situation. It needed to be punished. Like, what else are they supposed to do? Oh, he's a backup goalie who's about to be waived. We're not going to bother. No, you have to address it.
I mean, we also saw the opposite happen, right? On Saturday night, Zach Cassian elbowed Montembeault. I think that was who was in net. It's hard to keep track of Canadians goalies these days. In a similar way, right? He's behind the net playing the puck. Cassian comes rolling through, elbows him, knocks his helmet off, etc. Like the same thing happened. Cassian got nothing, and I think it was pretty glaring when you look at the two situations, and one got a 3-game suspension, and the other one got nothing.
Yeah, well, that's the classic Edmonton favoritism.
It's hard to pick between the Edmonton and the Montreal favoritism. It's really hard to know which way the refs are going to lean on that one.
Yes, it very much is. How do we think the Canadians got to the Stanley Cup Finals last year?
Some of us thought it was Carey Price. Turns out, officiating.
Carl, in the first game of the playoffs, they took out the opposing team's captain and didn't end up penalized for it.
Are we opening that can of worms again?
No, let's not. I regretted it halfway through my sentence.
Yeah, that was a choice that you made for sure.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about the Vancouver Canucks. They appointed their assistant GM last week. This week they made the move and announced that Patrick Alvin is the new general manager of the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, I don't know who this guy is, but I saw his picture and it seems like in 2 weeks they hit both ends of the spectrum on the diversity scale.
And he is Swedish.
So is he?
He is, yes.
Well, Jim Rutherford's familiar with him, right? They obviously have a working relationship because he was the AGM, I believe, of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That's right. Yeah.
That's where Jim he's coming from.
Who now is, for those that, because I forgot that Jim Rutherford had been announced as president of hockey ops for the Canucks. So that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. Guys, Vancouver's such a weird team because if this was 4 weeks ago, I would have said the guy's got his work cut out for him. But this team turned it around when they made their coaching change.
Who knew that Travis Green was that bad of a coach?
Or Bruce Boudreau was that good?
I guess none of us knew either of those things for sure, right?
I'm sure the answer is somewhere in the middle on both.
I can see that. Yeah.
So I don't really know how to evaluate this team at this point. I do know that, these GM hirings at this time of year has got to be an awkward time to come into the job.
Absolutely.
You're coming in at almost the busiest time of year. Like trade deadline is what, 8 weeks away, 6 weeks away.
Yeah.
It's a big time for some of these teams.
And you got to get to work, right? You got to start making moves and getting yourself set up for the offseason for the Canucks, right? Where they're not looking. I mean, I guess maybe they are having playoff aspirations at this point in time, right? With how well they've done since Boudreau's come in. But I guess that's what they have to decide, right? Like right now they're sitting 4 points out of the wild card. There's a big gap. These schedules are weird. Canadian teams make this schedule very weird right now.
I know. It's going to be weird right till the end of the season.
Like right now, looking at the standings, the Blues have the first wild card, and 9 points behind them, the Flames have the second wild card. That's a gap.
Yeah, that's quite the gap.
Anyways, the Canucks are 4 points back of the Flames with 4 less games, so definitely an uphill climb for them. I would think rebuild, and it makes sense that you'd want to get the guy in there before the rebuild starts.
You think like full on rebuild for them?
No, sorry. Rebuild wasn't the right word.
Retool?
A retool, right? Just fixing what the previous guys had done. Yeah. Fixing the Benning situation.
Maybe the mandate's not, we need to turn it around this year. Maybe it's, we need to turn it around next year.
That seems like the likely scenario for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a break here, Nick. We'll be back on the other side with our best and worst, as well as the Elimination Station. Three, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Fourth Line Podcast, where we make up things like NHL talent shows. It's just what we do here. What would your talent be, Carl?
If I was invited to the NHL talent show?
Yeah.
If it's an NHL talent show, I would say podcasting will probably be on that list.
If it's an NHL talent show, podcasting?
No, if it's like an NHL talent show, because none of those guys have podcasts, but I do.
That's true. That is true.
So that would be step number 1.
Would you like show up on the stage and start setting up your equipment?
I guess that's not really an entertaining talent, right? That's not really a talent show. Really, what I would have to do is I'd have to interview all these guys after they stepped off the stage.
That's pretty good, though. That would be fun.
It could work, right?
It could totally work.
A live podcast. Essentially, we frame it as a live podcast. Everyone shows up to the live Fourth Line podcast, and we hold a talent show in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great talent.
What would you have?
I think I'd probably do some sort of music comedy mix.
Oh, absolutely.
Like write a silly song with silly hockey punchlines in it.
Like you would I think you would really excel at some sort of like an improv thing. You like ask the guys for words that you need to incorporate into the song.
I'm like walking through the crowd with a guitar strapped around me and a microphone.
Yeah, you got that Garth Brooks, Britney Spears mic on.
Yeah. And I stop along in the aisle and I look down at guys and they get that nervous look in their face like, no, please not me.
Please don't sing a line. And Nick's standing here and he's like, I need to figure out a word that rhymes with Zagreus right now. So you and me are both in a pickle.
Yeah, we can have a lot of fun with that. So Fourth Line Podcast hosts the NHL's talent show.
I guess that's what this has become, right?
I think so.
I think it is our idea. I don't see why we shouldn't be the ones to host it.
Right? I agree. And you know what? Like I'll sign the contract that says we have to limit our Oilers, Evander Kane, and Coyotes talk to like 5 minutes.
I'm fine with that. I'm
fine with that too.
Look, unless Phil Kessel's showing up at the talent show, I'm fine to skip the Coyotes entirely.
I'm not doing it unless Phil Kessel's there.
Do we intermission hot dog eating contest?
Yes, it's just Phil though.
It's just Phil. Everyone else backed out, Phil. Just you. You're gonna love us.
It's just Phil on stage by himself with a table of hot dogs, and everyone watches it.
60 hot dogs, and halfway through, Nick has to start singing a song about it because it's taken so long, and we've got dead air now.
Yeah, that is much what must-watch TV, Carl.
I think we're gonna have to really book out the full day. This seems like it's not like an hour, 2 hour long event. This is really, it's got legs, and I'm having a hard time reining it in.
Yeah, exactly. For the players who attend, it's going to feel like the Oscars when you watch it from home. Like, is this thing ever ending?
They're not having a great time, but we are.
Yeah, exactly.
You offer an open bar and they'll have a great time.
Oh, they absolutely will.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure Ovi's there.
Well, what talent would he have?
Ovechkin?
Yeah. I'm sure he's got something we don't know about.
Yeah, it's hard to think about off the ice. Like, what would Ovi's talent be?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, literally, there's only one person in my mind that I know of their off the ice talent, and that's like because we see like Matt Duchene does his like country music thing.
Yeah,
that's the only guy that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, what else do these guys do? They just live and breathe hockey.
Patrick Laine plays Fortnite.
That would be a fun one to watch.
We'll have just a bunch of guys streaming in the corner. We'll have a Fortnite tournament for all of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm sure that like a cooking contest. There's got to be some good cooks out there.
Oh, I'm sure there is. You know, I bet you Ovechkin would be good at like flair bartending. That's probably his talent.
I mean, if we can ruin our security deposit on this venue. That sounds like a great time. I think we might need the extra insurance.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that's probably what's going to have to happen here.
Yeah. All right. Should we get back to talking about hockey?
Has this not been hockey? Yeah, we can do that though. Best and worst. Our Connors and the Coyotes, where we talk about, this is why we talk about them so much. We named a segment after them and then had to talk about them every single week.
Literally both of those topics are in the name of the segment.
I guess we were literally asking for it. So we focus on the Connors, the best, the Coyotes, the worst, and see what has happened this week in the NHL. And my best of the week, if you don't mind, can I start?
Yeah, please. Let's do both of yours first.
Let's start with my best. We'll see where we end up. My best of the week is a team in the NHL went the entire month of January without losing a game. That team is the Colorado Avalanche.
It's pretty good. What did they win? Like 10 games? They went like 10, more than 10 games
in January.
Yeah,
I guess I'm thinking of their home winning streak. Yes, in January they have a collective. Let's count live on air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 games. They lost one game in overtime. So I guess not technically. They got a point in all 16 games. They did lose one game in overtime. So of a possible,
that's so crazy good.
Of a possible 32 points, they got 31 of them.
That's crazy good.
They also are on an 18-game home winning streak.
Also pretty good. They're going to be perfectly fine. This is the time of year when you want to go on a heater.
I would say the end of the year would be better, but yeah, this is great.
Nah, if they can keep it going for another week or two, not even just winning nonstop, just with a positive record, like you really, I guess what you want to do is make it till you get that asterisk in the standings, right? Yeah. Once you lock in that playoff spot, then you can kind of breathe easy a little better.
And we're only halfway through the year, right? Like most teams have played 40 plus. Well, everyone's played 40 plus games. Most of them have played over halfway through the year. I said everyone, but the Senators and the Islanders haven't. So
that's okay. Sorry, they're not really a threat anyways.
So you're halfway through, right? Now, what do you think they need? 95 points locks into a playoff spot. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
That puts them, that's to hit 95 points. They need 28 points in their next 39 games.
They can do it.
I think that's doable. I think less than a point a game is a manageable chore for them.
They can do it.
So making the playoffs is not a concern for this team, right? You look at them, the other teams at the top, right? Them, Florida, Carolina, Tampa, probably the Rangers, right? Those are the teams that I consider playoff locks this late into the season. But we'll see.
They're good, man. And I related to this, I picked up Pavel Francouz in fantasy hockey a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And man, that guy has made it so that I can't drop him. He's gotten 2 shutouts in the last 2 weeks.
So fun story about shutouts in fantasy hockey. Last week we sat here, we were sitting down ready to start the show. And you said, oh shoot, I forgot to set my lineup. Mm-hmm. I also realized I'd forgotten to set my lineup. You know what I left on my bench because I did not have that?
Shootout goalie?
A Robin Lehner shutout. Yeah.
Oh no, shutout. Oh no.
Yeah. So I did end up winning. My losing streak is over in fantasy. I beat the second last place team. Pretty proud of myself. And got back in the win column.
You're still pretty far down the standings though.
Look, not everyone is you. I'm only 12 points back of you. Come on now.
It's pretty tight in the middle of the standings. Everyone's very close.
Yeah, it's a competitive league.
It is a competitive league.
From third is 177 points. Ninth, myself is 158. It's pretty tight.
Yeah, it's tight. I have to say, I'm having a lot of fun in our fantasy league this year.
It's good. It's definitely been a lot of fun. Very few teams that are dead, which like usually you got a few teams that like stop.
Yeah.
But everyone's doing it.
Yeah. It's great. Okay. Can we do my best and worst?
Yeah. What do you got?
Okay. So I think this is a first for us. I'm pretty positive it is. My best and worst are for things that haven't yet happened.
Interesting. Tell me more.
So this week, the Olympics start.
That's right. Is that your best or your worst?
It's both of them. Because we're going to get to watch Olympic hockey, but we're not going to get to watch it until the middle of the night. So it's going to be awful if you want to watch it live. But the good news is curling is on at reasonable times.
Is that the only thing that we're going to care about? Is curling?
Mostly.
So what you're telling me, I mean, this makes a lot of sense. This is not like the last time. Where did they host it? When we all woke up super late, early in the morning, and provinces changed liquor laws. So watch Canada, Sweden.
Was that in Italy?
Was it? I don't remember. Anyways,
Russia.
Sochi. I thought Sochi was the Olympics that didn't send anyone. Well, either way, wherever it was, I'm not waking up at 4 a.m. to watch a championship hockey game. Is that what you're telling me?
You're not?
Probably not.
No, I'm not either.
Why would I? I don't.
The thing is, the CBC replays it all day.
Also that. And
so you'll get to watch it.
I'm not sold on. I mean, if I was Swedish or Russian, I would tune in for that game to see which of those teams wins the gold medal. But outside of that, I'm not here for it.
You don't want to watch Eric Stahl and David Desharnais play?
That Canadian roster. I'm glad that like some of the young guys made it onto there, but outside of them, there's nothing that excites me about that team.
I was surprised at the amount of names I didn't recognize.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like I thought there would be way more kind of, older retired NHL players that, I would be able to say, oh, I haven't heard that name in ages, but there weren't that many.
No, you're very much correct. Because especially I thought there would be a goalie that I recognized. Well, we got nothing.
Yeah, the goaltending, it's true. Devin Levy. Edward Pascal is a name I know.
Devin Levy is Dan Levy's brother, I think. They're just riding that Schitt's Creek.
Get out of here.
Ride that Schitt's Creek wave to a gold medal now.
That's not true.
No.
Okay.
I wish it was, though. That seems like something Canada would do, though. Like, yeah, 100%. let's just send the Levies. Everyone loves them.
Just send the Schitt's Creek family.
But, I mean, if you look at other rosters, right? Like if you take a look, I don't know how much you looked at the American roster, but they're sending even less players that I know. And it's all, I mean, you do have some young players, right? You got Jake Sanderson, Kenny Agostino's name I recognize, David Warsofsky, former Av there. Again, no goalies that I recognize. So I think it's tough to fill this roster because you have to sign guys that are not signed to NHL contracts.
Yeah,
to go.
Exactly. Yeah. It didn't occur to me with a lot of those young guys that a lot of them have ELCs.
Yeah.
So they can't go.
No, exactly. So I don't know. Do you plan on watching any of the Olympic hockey?
We plan on watching the women's games.
Well, I think that goes without saying.
We have a bit of a personal stake in that team as well. And those games, at least for me in Toronto time, start at 11:30 p.m.
That's late.
Yep. it's like first period. If the score is 7-1, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, you're the only one you're staying up for is like US, Canada.
Exactly.
Which that'll likely be for gold. So
exactly. So that starts this week. So I'll watch the women's hockey. I'll watch some of the men's hockey probably during the day. It's good, just background stuff while I'm working. And then I'll watch the curling. I love Olympic curling. I
don't know if I've ever gotten excited about Olympic curling. I'm here for like the skiing, the sledding. Those are always fun. But that's about it. We'll see. I'm not sure I'll watch very much at all of this Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, the time difference makes it really hard.
Yeah, I'll just watch the replays at night for sure. All right.
Okay.
My worst of the week. We'll make it quick. I'm gonna follow your lead since you started. I was gonna switch it up, but since you had a matching best and worst, I'm also gonna have a matching best and worst. My worst is that Nathan MacKinnon broke his nose this week, and that makes me sad. Mostly because, I mean, I get the fact that Taylor Hall hit him high and hit Nathan MacKinnon's stick into his own face, which is not the way that you want to have that happen. But also just I don't appreciate Taylor Hall hitting him first at all, second up high. I think if that stick hadn't have done it, his shoulder would have. And the fact that he got off with only a 2, I'm not here for that. So let's take care of Nathan MacKinnon, get him back. He's missing the All Star game. After his rant about the All Star game, he's not even going anymore.
God, I don't know how well this is going to go. I disagree with you. I don't think it was that bad of a hit. I think it was a bad luck hit for MacKinnon, the way his stick got up there.
And you know what? You and everyone else in the world that's not me agrees with you. So
it was against Boston, right? It was Taylor Hall.
Yeah, it was Taylor Hall.
And I think that game came on right after the Red Wings game. They were both on TNT. And so when the Red Wings game ended, I just left the TV on. And it happened very early in the game, did it not?
It was pretty early, yeah.
Like in the first period.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. As soon as I saw MacKinnon go down, oh no, that's not good. And they had 5 on the board for him at first, hey, for Taylor Hall.
Well, and that's why they likely, I mean, he wouldn't have gotten any penalty, but because they gave him a 5 and then reviewed it and reduced it, they had to give him something. So
yeah.
It's kind of a weird rule, but
it was kind of a scary play to watch it unfold on TV the way it did.
For sure. I do think that was a disappointing night because we missed that game. That Red Wings game you're talking about was lengthy because all the goals were scored. Wasn't that 7-5 for Chicago that game? Is that the right?
Yeah. Dylan Strome scored a hat trick.
And we had to, they delayed the start of the Avs game so that we could watch the end of that. And then we still missed a chunk of it because we had to watch Chicago, Detroit.
That's hilarious that they delayed a good hockey game like Boston, Colorado for Chicago and Detroit.
Yeah. Really? This is what we're doing right now? Like the game didn't start, puck didn't drop until 20 after the hour for no good reason.
Hilarious. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Anyways.
Should we eliminate someone?
Yes,
all right,
I'm
Carl?
choke. Yeah. You talk about.
All right. The Elimination Station. Here we are. We've arrived again this week. I know music plays. I don't know how Carl edits it. Let's just put the music here.
Elimination Station.
All right. So, the Elimination Station. Every week, Carl and I choose a team that we know for sure is not going to make the playoffs. And we eliminate them from the playoffs. Yes, it's early, but there are many teams at the bottom of the standings that we can confidently say will not be in the playoffs. So, are you ready to eliminate someone, Carl?
Yeah, let's review who is already out. The Arizona Coyotes, already out.
Correct.
Montreal Canadiens, already out.
Correct.
Philadelphia Flyers, who did win a game this week.
I saw that. Good for them.
It took overtime, but they did it. They are eliminated from the playoffs. Which brings us to this week. Our 4th team eliminated. I've heard, here's the thing I think we need to do every week now. We did it last week. I maybe tried to poke the bear a little bit by saying Red Wings, but we said our teams at the same time. Apparently people enjoy it. So I think our new shtick is that we both say the team we think we should eliminate at the same time.
Okay, I'll do it, but don't piss me off, Carl.
I'm not going to look. Detroit, sure, they lost they let in 7 goals to the Blackhawks this week.
I think they let in 7 goals twice this week.
Oh, so are you telling me I shouldn't have started Nedeljkovic on my daily fantasy team today?
He's doing okay so far tonight.
Okay. Well, it was 8 to the Blackhawks and 7
to the Leafs. Yeah.
Not great. But hey, they scored 9 goals in those 2 games too. So one side of the team's doing all right.
Hey, they're a fun team to watch right now. But this segment is not to talk about the Detroit Red Wings, Carl.
Not yet.
Don't kid yourself.
Not yet.
Okay, not yet. We'll put it off a little bit. Okay, so what are we going to do on the count of 3? We both say the team.
1, 2, 3, and then we say the team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to count together too, or should I just do
let's
the
count
counting
together?
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Seattle Kraken.
Hey!
Finally agreed on one.
Welcome to the Elimination Station, Seattle. We knew this was coming. I tried to put them in last week. They didn't get any better.
No, not surprising. Although I do remember when the expansion draft happened, there's a lot of talk about them being a fringe playoff team. And that didn't happen.
A lot of these analytics guys were like, look, I think that they might sneak in as a wild card team.
I think a lot of that was their goaltending was supposed to be much better than it is.
I was going to say, that was going to be my question, is what's the difference? What's the disconnect between reality and the models? And it's got to be Philip Grubauer.
Yes. I mean, and Chris Driedger. Both of them.
Yeah.
Neither are performing to the level that they should be or would be on their previous teams or were on their previous teams, right?
Compared to what they were doing last year, it's nowhere close to what they were putting up.
Yeah.
And Driedger had a smaller sample size, right?
Yep.
It's expected that he wouldn't live up to the same performance that he was getting in Florida with a much better team in front of him. And now this, right?
And now this, yeah.
But, man, I just completely blanked on his name. Who's the other goalie there in Seattle?
Philip Grubauer.
Philip Grubauer. Apparently he's dead to me. That's what I've just discovered. Old Grubauer. He had multiple years. I mean, even thinking back to his time in Washington, like this was not a small sample size that they were building off of, and he has not had it this year.
Yeah. Like I want to say that's the difference. And certainly it's made a difference. But like this team has a pretty, like even outside of goaltending, this team's got a pretty steep drop off in scoring. Very high up in their lineup.
But even when you look at this team, if I were to list off to you like who the leading scorers are, right? Jared McCann, Jordan Eberle, Yanni Gourde.
Yes.
Does that sound like a fringe playoff team to you?
No, it doesn't sound like a playoff team to me at all.
And there's no, like, maybe Jaden Schwartz is a player that like should be up there who's not, but there's no one else. Like you go up and down, like I think maybe Jonas Donskoy should have more than 0 goals this year, but he's not. Like he's a third liner. If he's your scoring help, you need better. Marcus Johansson, not the player he was, right? Same thing, third liner. This is a team of second and third liners at best that are playing like second and third liners at best.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what happens when you can't get other teams to play with you when you're working through expansion, right? Vegas didn't have this problem.
No, because they convinced everyone that cap space was more important.
Right. Now Seattle has this problem because everyone realized they were wrong.
Right. So now that they're here with like a classic, not Vegas expansion team, how do you fix this? How do you take this team and build them into something good?
It's going to take time. It's going to take time. Like you're not going to attract free agents in the off seasons right now. Not with this team. Right? Like they're going to get a high draft pick. So you pick high. Next year, collect another high draft pick. You start building through the draft. And then once you get some of these exciting players onto the ice and they're performing, then you start attracting some free agents. Like they don't even have like trade chips right now.
Like literally, like we talked, 2 weeks ago, last week, Mark Giordano, I assume he's gone at the deadline.
Sure, but what are you going to get from Mark Giordano?
I assume like a second.
Okay. So again, so we're still talking about building through the draft, which means it's going to take a long time for you to get better.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think,
like we're back to the Nashville, Minnesota, Columbus way of building a franchise team.
Yeah. And it takes a long time, right?
Yeah.
Columbus and Minnesota were not, Columbus was a very short-lived window of a perennial playoff team.
Yeah.
Minnesota's done a pretty good job of building something. Nashville has done an amazing job with it.
Yeah. But it took them all a lot of time.
One thing, and it leans into that building through the draft idea, but it seems like every offseason, especially with a flat cap, especially where we're sitting right now, it seems like every offseason there's a team with a contract that needs to offload it and will pay you to take it. And with where they're sitting, and like you mentioned, less players wanting to go to this team because of kind of where they're at. They have 16 million in cap space this year, right? They can start becoming, a three-way trade. They are retaining some salary this year to be able to then flip that guy back. You get a fourth, a fifth, something, right? To make some of this happen. Start getting creative. Start working your way into some of these trades to use that cap space that you have.
Absolutely. I think the problem, though, is that we haven't seen Ron Francis be creative at all since he's become the GM of this team.
That's very true, for sure.
Right? Like, all we know from Ron Francis is he was demanding first-round picks from everybody for trades. And they're all like, no, that's dumb.
Yeah. And it led to this now.
Yeah. And they've done nothing. So I don't know, Carl. This is a tough one. It's going to take a long time.
What do you think the window would be for Seattle to actually be a playoff team with what we know about them now?
More than 5 years.
That's what I was saying. I was thinking 6+.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So it'll be a long ride, but hey, they got a hockey team and they're better than Arizona.
At least they got that going for them.
They can fit so many more people into that arena, which is great for them.
They absolutely can.
We got a couple things to do here. We got to hand out a prize pack for this game we play called High Sticking. And the way that this game works is every week we pick our must-watch games of the week. And with that, you head over to our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast with the number 4, and you tell us what you think the score will be for our must-watch game of the day. With that, we take the scores. If you pick the right winner, you get 1 point. If you pick the correct winner, you can also be in line for additional points as well. For each score in the game, you get an extra point. Right now, we are going to hand out a Fourth Line prize pack, some Fourth Line puck, Fourth Line podcast, coaster, pack of hockey cards, some stickers. We've got you covered. Okay. But at the end of the month, we're going to be handing out, end of February, which is only 4 weeks away now. We're going to be handing out a jersey as we switch our game mode for the end of the season. We're going to be handing out to the person in first. You'll be getting a prize. But today we are doing a random draw. And because of this change in game, we have a ton of names in the hat. We have 168 names. Do you want to guess what number we'll get between 1 to 168?
Ooh, yeah. I'm going to say number 89.
89. All right. I'm going to show it to Nick so that he can see that this is not the number yet. I'm going to click generate my number.
Yeah.
The number is
61.
61. Number 61. Congratulations. Who's number 61? That is Brody. Congratulations to Brody. We'll be sending you off some sweet stuff there. Glad to be able to send that off to you. But the rest of you keep on playing because it is tight at the top of the standings. There are a number of teams within a handful of points of each other. First to fourth is only separated by 6 points. So continue that. And maybe we'll hand out some other random prizes along the way as well. So thanks to playing. It's been a lot of fun, but that means we need to pick our must-watch games for this week.
All right, let me pull up the schedule. February 1.
February the 1st. I know what I got already.
There's a lot of games. Already?
I already know which game I want to watch.
Is it Washington-Pittsburgh?
It is Washington-Pittsburgh.
Yeah, good call. Good game.
Yeah. Wednesday, a few less games. I think I know which one I want to go with.
Oh, is it Edmonton-Washington?
I was going to throw Seattle a bone and give them.
All right, let's do it. We haven't watched them in a while.
And then it's the All-Star break.
No.
So there are
only 2 games this week and then the All-Star game?
And then the All-Star game. Yeah, 2 days of games and then the All-Star break. We'll do something this weekend for the All-Star games. But we'll need to see what happens once that takes place. So stay tuned for that, which then leads us to Monday, February 7th. There's only 2 games that day. And it seems like an easy choice on the 7th.
Carolina-Toronto
is the game of choice. So we've only got 3 games, but hey, we've got a lot more games in February than we were supposed to because there is no Olympic break. So that's great. So head on over to @4thLine Podcast with the number 4 to play the game. Tell us who you think is what the winning score of the game will be and who you think is going to win for each of those. You can also head to our website at the4thlinepodcast.com, where for more information, you can head to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, we are there for you. We're also over at Full Press Radio and Full Press NHL. Great sites with lots of amazing hockey and just all sports content. They've got amazing things happening over there. I'm grateful to be part of such a great community. And until next week.
It's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go after the media howled like coyotes. Kane made the Oilers not play like floaties.